In this month's episode of Alpha Money, starting the year off right. WalletHub says nearly half of all Americans will make finance-related New Year's resolutions in 2024. That's 36% more than those who plan to in 2023. And more than half of those who make resolutions believe they'll keep them for a full year. Let's turn to our Alpha Money expert, Mike Koyanen, with Principal Preservation Services, with how to set good financial goals this new year. And a happy new year to you, Mike. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, happy New Year, Liz. Glad to be here. Glad to start with Alpha News here in 2024.
So we think it's great. First, you say to know your numbers. Explain what you mean by that.
Yeah, it's hard to know where you want to go if you don't know where you are today. And that has to come with budgeting. You have to understand how much money is coming in, how much money is leaving the accounts. When people come to my office all the time, we talk about budgeting. We'll spend an hour sometime with just going over budgets because some people are unrealistic. We haven't budgeted since maybe in college or high school or just out of college. Some people say I got $5,000 in expenses, but reality is, I said, then you should be saving $3,000 or $4,000 a month. And they go, that's not the case. We don't have anything left over. I said, then we need to get really detailed with your budget. And whether it's just charging everything on your credit card to know where your money is going, you have to find out what the income is, what's going out, and then you figure out where are you wasting your money. Some of those streaming subscriptions, maybe the gym membership that you're not using. And maybe you made a resolution to keep that this year, but hopefully you use it. But the other memberships you're not using, coffee runs, eating out too much. There's a lot of wasted money we have that we can pull back and use that for, maybe getting rid of debt.
I know the next one can be a tough conversation, but you say it's time to take a good hard look at that D word, debt.
Yeah, debt is a thing that holds us back from our dreams. People are delaying getting married. They're delaying buying a house, upgrading their house, having kids, retiring because of the debt they're carrying. We're talking about mostly the bad debt, which is going to be the credit card debts, the personal loans, the student loan debt, which are outrageous interest rates. The average student loan debt per student who has a loan is $39,000, which is crazy. But then we look at the credit card debt. The average interest rate on a credit card is over 20%. And if you have just a $10,000 credit card debt, and you might have just been charging stuff over the holidays, if you only make the minimum payment, and that's a 2% payment, it's going to take you 9 years to pay off that $10,000 debt. Don't do that. I always recommend credit cards are convenience. They're not used as your backup plan or savings account, right? I use my credit cards all the time, but I pay them off every month. And I use the credit cards for your advantage. If you can't get to that place yet, don't be using your credit cards.
And a lot of people don't exactly know where to start, Mike, but you say there are two methods to implement and attack that debt.
Yeah, there's two methods to get rid of this debt, and that's the avalanche method or the snowball. Let's start with the avalanche method. Is you list all your debts, but you go from the highest interest rate first for the avalanche method. So you make all the minimum payments on all your other debts except for the highest interest rate until that is paid off, and then apply that extra money when that's paid off to the next debt and so on. Well, I like the snowball method better because we're focusing on that smallest debt first. So we make all the minimum payments except for that smallest debt, and that'll get paid off sooner. And then you just create momentum. You're encouraged to do more because now you have extra money to apply to that second smallest debt, like a snowball going down the hill, and you get that confidence to move forward. You see results sooner, and I like that. So implement one of those methods.
It doesn't take long, we know, for things to go south, it seems, in life. That's why you say third on the list is to save for emergencies.
That's why they call it emergency fund. We don't know when these emergencies are going to happen. And whether it's car repair, house repair, medical expense, maybe you got injured. Outside of work, you don't have disability insurance. What are you going to do? You need to have that emergency. What if they stop paying Social Security benefits like some of these politicians are talking about withholding? You need to have an emergency fund. I do recommend if you're working, have 3 to 6 months of your expenses set aside in a cash equivalent account, checking, savings, cash on hand. But if you're retired, you need more because you're on a fixed income, Social Security, maybe a pension, but most likely drawing money from your retirement accounts. And you need to have 6 to 12 months is what we recommend when you're on a static fixed income. And we don't want you to take those monies from an IRA or 401k, a retirement account, because you have to pay taxes. It should be coming from cash. And that's a true emergency fund.
The next two tips to starting the year off right: retirement contributions and taxes. There's still time to receive a deduction for last year, and I think a lot of people forget about that.
First of all, yeah, you have time to have some deductions for 2023 taxes. You have up till April 15th to contribute to max out your contributions in your IRAs and even HSAs. You have time to do that, health savings accounts, if you're in those high deductible health savings plans. So you have till April 15th to do that in those IRAs, and that's up to $7,500 in an IRA. If you're 50 and older, it's $6,500 if you're under that. But now when we look at saving outside of trying to catch up and make some tax savings for 2023 is get in a habit and set goals to increase your contributions so you can retire. And that's every time you get a raise, get used to putting more money into your contributions. And hopefully you get the max contributions. They went up here for 2024 to $23,000 if you're under age 50 into these employer sponsor plans, which is a 401k, it's a 403b, a thrift savings plans, a 457. But if you're over 50 and over, you can contribute an additional $7,500, which is $30,500. Now, you don't get there overnight. Nobody's contributing right out of college to the max contributions. You have to start somewhere and do at least enough to get the company match. So if your employer is matching 5%, do 5% because they're not going to give you that match unless you do your part. So make sure you're doing enough to get the match first off, and then as you get raises, increase those contributions. If you contribute 2% more to get that match, say you have a $100,000 a year income, and you put in $2,000 more a year, so that means your employer is matching another $2,000. That's $4,000 a year. You're 25 years old. By the time you retire at 65 with a 6% average return, you'd have over $619,000 more. That's not all. That's just more by just putting that 2% and getting that free money. So it makes a huge difference to start early and be strong with your contributions.
Mike Koyanen with Principal Preservation Services. Again, Happy New Year. We can see dollar signs already. I feel richer just listening to your advice once again. But Mike, thank you so much.
Thanks, Liz, for having me.